Hi there. Hassan and I are on air and we are pissed off today at the LFC Forum podcast. We're going to be discussing the Tottenham result. We were just talking off air and we decided just going to start this and get right into it because we are not happy with the results and we're not happy with some of the forum members as well. We're not going to call them out by name, but you may know who you are. So, Hassan, let's go on there. We don't like these contrarian, for sake of being contrary posters. You guys know who you are, bitches. Anyways, Hassan, how's it going?
That was one hell of an intro.
I know. I'm pissed off today, and I'm pissed off at everyone.
Well, I mean, I'm not as good as John Moss, but that's a different
Yeah,
discussion.
he's an incompetent. His linesman is an incompetent.
I think his name, ironically, is Smart, the linesman. So there's that as well.
And before we get into like the whole match, I just want to make one more point to you because we were talking about this off air, and I feel like I'll lose this point if I don't mention it now. So in the NFL, right? In the NFL, when there's a call made by the referee, in order to overturn it, they need incontrovertible evidence, right? That's how typically when you do a challenge,
Yeah.
right? So Moss's initial decision was no penalty. That was his initial decision. Like a good 15 to 20 seconds went by and the ball was like halfway in midfield when it got pulled back by the linesman. So if there's VAR and he goes and checks there is no it's not a very there are different replays that show different things. It's not something that's easily, you can say that it's incontrovertible that there was contact with Lamela. And not to mention he was offside, so that would have completely negated everything. So, okay.
I think he would have given it offside. That's
Yeah,
the thing. Had he looked at VAR and been, it's offside.
Exactly. Exactly. So again, we'll get into VR a little bit later. First things first. Let's start talking about the match. So obviously it was a good match actually very exciting. Both halves were pretty good. But let's start off with the first half. I thought was one of the better first halves we've had in a while. We controlled it. We seem to have their number pretty much in the first half. We seem to snuff out every attack that they wanted to just to start off and create, and we just forced them into mistake after mistake. And obviously Dyer gave us the first goal. So let's hear your thoughts a little bit about that first goal and Eric Dyer's back pass. You talked to me a little bit about on that. On the Google Hangout thread that we have. So let's hear your thoughts on that.
That was Gerrard giving a back pass.
Mm-hmm.
That was Gerrard against Chelsea giving that back pass, basically, by Eric Dyer. I mean, we pressed well to force him into a mistake, but we pressed Davinson Sanchez, the two center backs, but then Dyer, I have no idea why he tried to lay the ball back because I mean, you had a couple of Liverpool players in that position, so I don't get his decision making at that point. But I mean, Spurs, I can't say that they did this directly from the first whistle because I was a bit busy. I was, watching the game on and off for the first 20, 25 minutes. But Spurs were playing with a diamond.
Yeah, they were.
Which was, I felt, a bit of an odd decision by Pochettino because, well, that means you are affording our wingers a bit of space at the back. So I didn't get that one, which is why a lot of times Salah found himself in more advanced areas. I felt Mane as well, although they didn't do much in the first half. I mean, first half we did control it, but we didn't really create chances.
No, we didn't.
At the same time. So, and I think as well, I mean, the second half, to be fair, Spurs, yes, they controlled things. You had the Son chance, the one-on-one that was saved by Karius.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You had the two penalties, which we will get into a bit further, but they didn't create that many clear-cut chances as well. I can't recall anything besides those three.
Yeah, as far as our first half went, I thought we controlled it. We got in some decent positions, but we didn't actually test Lloris. I don't recall him making a save in the first half. Do you?
No. There was Firmino's header, which went wide.
Right.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything either. It's just one of those whereby we did well. I mean, we looked very comfortable, is what I mean in that first half. We just looked comfortable. We didn't look in any imminent danger from Tottenham, and we just, you know, we kind of played that half out right because their diamond did not work against us. We forced them into too many mistakes, or time and time again. Um, Second half, different story. They definitely they had their tails up in the second half. They played a lot better. Their possession was a lot better as well. Um, but overall, they scored they scored a worldie of a goal with Wanyama, and then they basically were gifted two opportunities to settle the result. So they didn't play particularly great either. I thought our defending today was not bad actually. Today was one of the days I actually thought our defending was pretty good. I thought for the most part we defended quite well. I didn't particularly think that there were a lot of issues, a few mistakes here and there in terms of giving the ball away. But overall, I thought we defended quite well today. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, for the most, and our goalkeeping was pretty good today.
Yeah, yeah, he was.
I think some people question Karius on the first goal with this bunch. Eriksen's cross was basically a knuckle shot, and it dipped right in front of him. So he's like, "Let me get this bit further away." And I mean, to be fair to him, he got it 25 yards out, so it wasn't like he punched it right, and it was in the penalty area.
Yeah,
And then Wanyama, it was very similar to Essien's goal in the Champions League semi-final back in 2009 versus Barcelona in a way.
yeah.
Just or Matic, let's say, last season a bit against Spurs in the FA Cup semi-final as well. So you can't do much about that.
You can't.
I mean, Chan had a chance to clear it. Some have said, well, Ox should have been a bit closer to Wanyama. Look, if you're telling me Wanyama will shoot this from this distance in that
You'll take
manner
it.
100 times, he misses 99 times probably.
Yeah.
So it happens. I
What
mean, I can't be that frustrated by that.
wasn't there one like a few years ago, Phil Jagielka against us at Anfield? Something
Um,
similar.
as well, although I don't, that one, that one was just so lucky as well. It
Yeah, I
always
mean,
seems to happen. Like we can't get that. Like
yeah, I mean,
we
some
almost got it today with Salah, but
yeah. We see sometimes you just gotta hold your hand up and say, you know what, it's a great goal. You know what, I don't get mad at goals like that. I just don't. It wasn't a deflection. It wasn't anything of that sort. It was just a great strike. It happens. You know what? It happens. Um, but so I'm not gonna. I can't really do much finger pointing over there. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and just say it's a great goal.
yeah, and
But
he wasn't given that. Like he wasn't like, oh, he's just just walking and just taking his time with the shot. No, he just ran into it and just
snapshot.
straight top corner.
Yeah, it just happens. Like these things, they sometimes you just have to say, good. It was an excellent strike, great goal. Nothing the keeper can do about it. It is what it is. But I thought overall our defending today was, again, we defended with a lot of discipline today. Trent defended well in a lot of moments. Uh, Robertson again defended well. I thought our midfield, Henderson did a really good job, and we'll talk about the substitutions in a little bit. But again, everyone did a good job defensively today. I thought we got it right that way. But again, it comes down to officials gifting opportunities, and the annoying part about it is that there is recourse for such things. It's just not being implemented, which is the frustrating part about it. So so let's talk a little bit about now. Let's focus on Loris Karius because it seems like today was sort of the breakout game for him. Uh, Again, I thought he was fine in the first half. Had some good punches. He had one little area where he passed the ball to Milner, where he threw the ball out to Milner in the middle of the right in the middle. Wasn't too great, but other than that, I thought he was pretty good today.
It's just a shame that it didn't lead us to a win.
Yeah,
I think that's a. I mean, had the game had the last penalty, the second penalty, not been given, we would have been thinking Mo Salah just scored one of the goals of the season. Loris Karius, well done. You saved the penalty from Harry Kane. You stopped him getting goal number 100. And I think every single Liverpool fan deep down felt, yeah, he's just missing all these chances for the 100th goal to score against Liverpool, basically. Like,
mm,
I knew that from like 3 weeks ago. Oh, that's gonna happen, definitely. But yeah, it's just a shame that Karius couldn't, you know, have that impact in terms of getting us the win. Rather, it was, yeah, that didn't lead us to anywhere eventually. Although that sounds a bit unfair to him, on him, but it is what it is.
yeah. He again. I remember in the first half, kind of early on, I texted you, and when I told you he's looking like he belongs here, and you told me not to jinx it, but he just looks different to me. Like his demeanor looks different. The quality of his punches when he comes out to get the ball on crosses, it seems to have more venom in them. It seems like he's actually confident now as to what he's doing. He doesn't look like someone who's going to be yanked out of the team, and he knows that, and he's playing with a sense of purpose and with a sense of confidence. Again, I genuinely don't know what happened when he first came here. I don't know because he looked a totally different player at Mainz. So I'm glad to see him start to play start to just show us exactly what he brings to the table. So I'm really pleased with how he performed today, including the penalty save. He did pretty much all he could to ensure us the victory. Um, so in addition to that, uh, do you want to do you have any thoughts on Karius aside from this as to what he should be doing going forward now?
Um, I just think keep going. We have we have obviously league game next week,
Yeah.
but we then have the Champions League. So he should be up for that as well. Although I need to know if Carey is playing in the Premier League with me, Mignolet is now the Champions League keeper or not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it will be interesting to see.
I'll tell you why I don't think so, because I think with Mignolet, Klopp was never sold coming into the season that he's going to be the definitive number one because Karius is his signing. So he was going to give Karius those opportunities in the Champions League to at least get his feet wet. But now that he's made Karius the number one, I don't think he's looking at it like a situation whereby Karius isn't his definitive number one. So I don't think he's going to give Mignolet the opportunity to get his feet wet in the Champions League and reciprocate that way. I just don't think that's going to happen. Now, I think the next part about this, the next thing I want to talk about is what happened to us in the second half, because we did look pretty bad there first. I wouldn't say bad, but we seemed to be up against it for quite a period of time, and Klopp made a few substitutions there, which kind of raised a few eyebrows. So, what are your thoughts on those?
The substitutions,
Yeah, the substitutions. Do you think Henderson should have come off, or do you think Chan should have come off?
I think Henderson was tired, actually. I think his concern was because Henderson played midweek. And did Henderson play last week in the FA Cup?
I believe so. I think he made
Oh no, he
his
entered second half.
yeah,
Yeah.
second half.
So I just think he's looking
Getting
after his minutes, basically. I mean, it's what Klopp was doing. He has been the most proactive manager in terms of making rotations in the squad. So it was interesting that he made only 2 changes prior to the game, and they in terms of personnel changes to the lineup, but they were Trent and Matip going and Van Dijk, sorry, going
Yeah.
into the side. So, I mean, that midfield stayed the same. So I just think he was managing his minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Again, because he is coming back from a long layoff. So, and again you don't know how much that the injury that he's coming back from is still bothering him. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's not completely healed. So there could be that as well in there. Um, I was a little bit disappointed with how sort of we started getting a little too deep. We weren't able to find our rhythm in the second half. um, and that seemed to be sort of borne out by the fact that we seemed to be content to hit them on the counter, because it worked, because that strategy was working for us in the first half. But again, maybe something again. I didn't think Klopp had the personnel to actually change that. Did you feel the same way? I didn't think he had anyone on the bench who he could bring on and say, okay, now we're gonna retake control of this game.
Yeah, I think the only change that might have changed things a bit more was had he put Oxlade-Chamberlain in for one of the midfielders. But I think at that point, Mane he didn't perform today. Lost the ball several times.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe had played with Mane and Salah, things change. But I just think Klopp was like, "Look, we're gonna concede possession. Might as well have make just like for like substitutions, I guess."
Yeah.
Um, I just don't think the substitutions. Well, they didn't change much, but I don't think they could have changed things either, which is in part due to us, selling the likes of Sturridge and Coutinho at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the Matip change was him trying to match Tottenham in terms of shape. But what happened was that Pochettino directly responded by taking off took off Davinson Sanchez, and he put on Wanyama.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, people say, well, Pochettino made the super sub Wanyama. Look, he didn't know what he was getting into. Let's be very honest about that.
Hmm. Yeah. It's again, I didn't particularly have too many problems with the subs, just because I felt that there wasn't much he could do in terms of influential personnel. Lallana is not healthy, and I don't think even if Lallana were healthy, he would have been a sub that would actually have made a lot of difference, in terms of being able to control the game and sort of you know win us possession and keep possession. I
I
don't.
think we lacked Lucas again.
Yeah, I know you're not. I know you're actually not being facetious. You're being genuine
No,
here. But
I'm
I
trying to
agree with you.
just someone who's just
Yeah,
comes
I,
in for the last 15 minutes
I think
and
that's
just
what he was
breaks
trying
up
to do
game.
with. I think he was kind of trying to do that with Joel, right? When he came on, in a way, just kind of good, decent passer. Just kind of hold things together there.
And win a few balls and
Yeah,
few
in the
aerial
air.
duels as well. Um, Look, I mean, I know people want to be critical of Klopp. We were a bit too deep. I agree. Tottenham really took over the game.
They did.
Um, but let's say first half, Klopp got it spot on. I think
He did.
second half, for the most part, again, we can say, well, Tottenham dominated and all
No, they
that,
didn't
but at the
dominate.
same time, no, in terms of, let's say, they controlled things second half.
Sure, sure. They had more possession.
They had one clear cut chance that wasn't a
Yeah,
penalty.
yeah.
So
They
we can say whatever we want. At some point, we have to go, look, I mean, Wanyama's goal, it is a strike from 25 yards, and they get two penalties, which were questionable. Let's put it
dubious.
that way.
Yeah.
And they had one chance with Son and on a one-on-one, and I can't think of anything else. Had it been any other side, we would have been saying, for the most part, they managed the game well. Had it ended 1-0, let's say, or 2-1 even, for the most part, we managed things well, but it didn't end up that way.
The I will give Klopp credit that today's again, I said it earlier, but I thought the way he set us up, or defensively, I thought everyone pretty much did their job. You know, I didn't think that there was anything. Again, Lovren did make a bit of a mistake, and we'll start talking about that now, in terms of the clearance, the failed clearance, and what led to the first penalty. So again, when you view that, it's offside. I mean, and I think VAR would have cleared that up pretty quickly. Uh, what do you? And I also think it was a dive by Harry Kane, as well. But again, they got the penalty. Karius saved it. Rashid Wallace used to say, "Ball don't lie," and the ball didn't lie. It didn't lie today. I thought it was a very soft penalty, and uh, we got the justice was pretty much. What are your thoughts?
On the first penalty?
Yeah, on the first penalty.
Can't look. I was watching it on Sky, and they bring in this former referee, and he was like, "It is a penalty. Harry Kane wasn't offside because Lovren was trying to clear the ball, and he didn't clear the ball well, and it went into Harry Kane's path." Now, I thought there was contact on the trailing leg on Karius' shoulders. That's
Yes, that
neither
was.
here nor there. But what I'm saying is, if that Lovren doesn't clear it unless Harry Kane is behind him. Harry Kane, the meaning of interference is, not allowing something to properly continue. Lovren doesn't clear it if Harry Kane isn't behind him. He doesn't do that action if Harry Kane isn't behind him.
You're right. He let
So
the ball run basically back to back to Karius if there's nobody behind him.
the ball was played for Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So I don't get how can it be not offside. Sorry, but it was. It was. I mean, either clarify what interference is, or just go by the word
So
as it is on the dictionary.
so let's look at it this way. Let's take a free kick, for example, right? When a team holds a line, right? When a player is offside, there's defenders are still making the attempt to go clear the ball, right? So
Yeah,
and if the player's offside, they're offside. It has nothing to do with whether or not he didn't make if the clearance didn't come off.
I don't get the rules anyway. I'm not a fan of the current offside rule in a sense because, well, there are a lot of cases in which someone isn't offside the first instance, but if someone is offside, let's say down the middle, yet the guy on the wing isn't offside. But all of a sudden, the guy in the middle is 5 yards behind the defense, and the guy on the wing just gives him the ball. Sorry, but what is this? What is the defense supposed to do? Because that guy already got an advantage.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of stuff that I'm not a fan about on the offside rule, but on this case especially, it's interference. What is interference if he's forcing Lovren into a decision right there? If he is, then he's interfering because Lovren has to deal with it. Otherwise, it's going for the best striker. It's going towards the best striker in the
In
country
the
right
Premier
now,
League.
and
Yeah.
one of the best in Europe. So, is it interference? Yes, if you want to go by the dictionary word, it is.
Yeah. It's again for me when I look at it, and go, that's offside. It's pretty simple. I think VAR would have cleared that one up quite easily. Um, I think John Moss in general was just bad today. Penalty decisions aside, it was not a good refereeing performance by John Moss at all. It just really wasn't. And again, you know, if these penalty decisions hadn't been awarded, it would have still been a poor game for John Moss. But obviously, he's awarded the first one, and then he's had these long discussions with his linesman, who was kind of in the middle of both of these decisions. I don't exactly know what the linesman was telling him in the first one, whether he was telling him that it was not one or if it wasn't or was offside. I don't exactly know if they were discussing that, but clearly the second one is the one of the biggest. That's probably the most contentious one because it came at such a mark in the game. And actually, before we get to that, let's just talk a little bit about the Salah goal because that was one of the best goals I've seen this season. Uh, when I saw it, it kind of reminded me of Torres' goal against Marseille. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
Long ago,
2007.
yes, seven away at Marseille. You know, where he just kind of twisted and turned in the box. It was obviously a different finish, but just that kind of movement of Torres, it just kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
I thought it was Messi-esque.
Yeah, it was Messi too, a little bit of Messi as well. Um,
Um, it was an amazing goal, and it should have been the winner,
it should have been. Yeah,
which is the biggest shame in the
yeah,
entirety because we're not talking about. Well,
a great
Wanyama
goal.
scored an incredible goal, but
Salah
I
scored
think
an
he
incredible
scored.
goal.
But I think Salah scored the better goal, and we're not talking
Yes,
about that.
and we at the end of the day, you want players to decide the game. You don't want a contentious, dubious decision to decide the game. And speaking of dubious decisions, we're going to talk about that second penalty decision. And again, when it happened in real time, John Moss was pretty adamant. No, it's not a penalty. Get up, get up. Um, and then all of a sudden, 15, 20 seconds later, he's conversing with his lineman and he decides to give a penalty. Uh, I've looked at the replays. I've looked at different angles. I cannot honestly say that especially from the last replay that I've seen, that there's contact there. If there is, it's minimal contact with his knee, not his foot, like people are saying.
I think he does touch him with his foot a bit. It's a bit of a clip, I think, on the calf. But my issue is, well, it's twofold. One, Lamela jumped into him. it's it's engineering the contact, which is supposed to be a form of simulation. Well, at least that's how
He,
I've learned.
he's watching too many James Harden videos.
It's what Ashley Young used to do when he used to throw his leg. It's the same as throwing a leg. He jumps into Van Dijk, forcing the contact. But if you think that there was a contact and it should have been a penalty, it was offside. End of discussion. It was
Yeah,
offside.
it's end of
Llorente, a throw in. Llorente, when he heads the ball, Lamela's offside. Had there been VAR, it would have said,
no.
"Oh, it's offside."
Yeah,
So
pull it
you
back.
can believe there's contact. It was offside.
Yeah,
So, and I don't blame. Look, I don't blame the linesman on the offside ruling because it was very close. To be fair, but it goes back to this: had this game been last Saturday in the FA Cup, there are two penalty decisions that wouldn't have been
given.
given.
That's exactly right. Yep.
And it's just very frustrating, especially the second one, because had we won it, and whether we deserve to win or not, whether Van Dijk defended that well or not, it
It's
does not
offside.
matter.
It's offside.
We would have won a game, and we would have given ourselves a bit of breathing room ahead of Spurs, who have a tougher schedule, I think, from now until season. They haven't played City yet. They haven't played Chelsea yet, I think. They haven't played Arsenal yet. So they have a tough schedule to go. We would have had a 5 point cushion above them. We have the United game, I think, in March, and Chelsea, I think. And by the way, we should check this because Chelsea is the second to last game of the season, and I think that has happened like 5 times in the last 6 seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have a bit of a stretch of games in which we can get results, and Spurs won't lose points. Instead, it's a status quo. In fact, we have lost ground on United,
Yeah.
and we have lost, well, a bit of ground on Arsenal. Although I don't think Arsenal are as big a threat on top four right now. I think they'll focus a bit more on the Europa League. But Chelsea have a game tomorrow, so it's just very frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and I think it's made frustrating by the fact that there is a solution available. But it seems that for some reason, this is the only sport that seems to be reluctant in terms of wanting to get decisions right. I have no way of explaining it. I have no way of explaining why the governing body of this sport feels like getting decisions right it takes is second to keeping the speed of the game. I just don't get it. It makes very little sense to me. Are there things in VAR that need to be cleaned up? Yes. But the way, if we go back to the FA Cup game, when that uh, when that first penalty was disallowed, when it went up to the fourth official who was viewing it, that was done pretty quickly. It wasn't the second one where the referee went over to the screen to look at it and then decide. The first one was done pretty quickly. If they're done just that way, I don't think there will be any issues with VAR and you know it impeding the speed of the game and things like that. It's I just don't understand what again. There are a certain section of fans who also don't like the idea of VAR. They don't like the idea that decisions are called correctly. There seem to be some nostalgia for getting for error, for some reason. I don't understand why there is that. But for me, it's stupid to have a sport where you have the ability to correct things, to correct all the things that human error actually allows, and the sport doesn't seem to want to do it, or at least it's moving at a very slow pace when it comes to actually implementing it.
I just have one thing that about VAR in the NFL, if I remember well, on the instant replay, don't they just directly give the referee a tablet
Uh, on,
rather
on
than
on a challenge,
rather? Yeah, when they want to review a play, don't they give the referee a
I,
tablet basically, and just he looks at it
I don't know if
rather
they give
than
him.
he does not go outside and just look at the screen, I think.
So back, at least I haven't seen the tablet as yet, but I do know in both the NBA and from what this is from my recollection, it could have changed now, but in both the NBA and the NFL, from when there used to be like a challenge flag thrown, the referee would go what they would call under the hood, because there used to be like a television screen with like a curtain on it, and the ref would go under it so that the light would be blocked out so you could see the screen, and he would do it that way. I don't know if they're doing the tablet now, but I do know that they used to go under the hood to check that out.
Yeah, I
And
mean, in the NBA, they have the screens
the screen, yeah, they go over
on the
to
scorers table.
on the scores table. They go to the screen. They take a look. They have their headphones. The referees usually do that, and so they basically do that to get the decisions right. So, and that's more like what VAR was the other day when the ref went over to pretty much the stadium, like the entrance, the tunnel where the screen was, and then afterwards he looked at it over there. I just think that they should do it the way they did it the other day, which is have the fourth official constantly be looking at it, and just go back to the earpiece of the referee and then tell them what the decision is and what the decision should be.
Uh, I just I'm very frustrated
Yeah,
because
it's,
Salah
it's
Salah
he won the game, and then this.
he should have won the game.
Yeah,
And by the way, to the assistant referee, so the first goal, you you ruled that it was offside, but you told the referee that, well, if Lovren touched it, then it wouldn't be offside. And the referee overruled you, so you gave a penalty. And then the second one, the referee says it's not a penalty, but then the linesman decides to overrule that. And by the way, there's this a video of him doing a fist bump after the decision being given.
Yes, 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 yes.
So yeah, I'm not gonna go into that.
I don't want to get
But
into conspiracy theories about whether because I'll be honest with you, it's not like I don't know if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, but Jacksonville Jaguar fans a couple of weeks ago were very, very annoyed. Actually, I think the whole country was just annoyed with the Patriots beating the Jaguars because I don't know if you saw the referees in that game, but they were actually like almost to the point of celebrating with Tom Brady when they beat the Jaguars in terms
yeah, I
of like they
remember
was
that.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the Jaguars. They're a division
Neither am
rival.
I. I don't like Blake Bortles, but
Mm-mm.
I like their defense though. But but my point is like I don't want to get into conspiracy theories about the referees and having like personal biases, towards certain teams. I don't want to get into all that nonsense. But I do think that this stuff can be cleared up with VAR, and the idea that this shouldn't be implemented pretty much immediately. I mean, it should not be implemented 2 years from now or next season. It should be in every single game going forward. Every single game. There is not a reasonable excuse not to have it. I don't know what the excuse will be. Some logistics excuse, but other than that, it should be in there. There's no other way to put it, really.
I mean, there's one positive. Um, we're still in the top four.
That's not really a positive, actually. That's
Mm.
like that's it's. I mean, a positive.
Look, I think the biggest positive is Spurs needed to win this more than we did.
Perhaps, yeah, because they have a tougher run in.
Because
But
not only that, because they would have gained the points directly on us, and they would have
yeah,
overtaken us.
this is like a six
So
pointer in a way.
yeah, and I did tell you, I felt like this was a draw. I didn't expect it to be that sort of draw,
I thought it
especially last
was.
10 minutes.
I thought we would.
And also, it's a great shame that Salah's symmetry in terms of goals isn't mentioned enough. He
Mhm.
scores 2 minutes into the game. He scores, the referee gives 4 minutes, and he scores on the
Two-
92nd minute.
Yeah,
Very impressive stuff by him. I think he did it on purpose.
I think he's just a terrific player whose performance today was overshadowed by the performance of incompetent refereeing. And
Um,
uh,
yeah,
yeah, again, you know what? The funny thing is, I'm not expecting the English media to actually pay much attention to this. I think there's like a collective acceptance with regards to things like this. That's what I feel. I that there is sort of a reluctant acceptance. Like, yeah, these things happen. So yeah, again, it's a fair result. So nothing we can do about it. It's okay. I quite frankly, I maybe it's just because I live in America and I interact with sports that, and I watch sports whereby you know getting decisions right is pretty much paramount. I mean, not every decision is always right in the NFL. Don't get me wrong; it's not that's not the case, especially on things like pass interference and stuff like that.
and they can't decide what a catch is.
Yeah, like what's a pass interference or illegal hits and stuff like that. Like there are times when guys will go in with a shoulder instead of going with a helmet, but they're called illegal, hits. But on the big plays, touchdowns, and these kinds of things, whether it's a first down or it's a touchdown, or if a catch is out of bounds or not out of bounds, these things they get right every single time, pretty much. Uh, and they use technology to aid them get those decisions right. The same thing with the NBA with regards to who the ball goes off of and things like that. Again, the NBA can't get rid of things like flopping with instant replay, but if for the most part they do the job correctly.
Can By the way, what's a fair result? I
I
mean,
don't
I
know what
get
I
on
don't know
the
what a fair
let's
result.
say if someone says on the balance of play, well, a draw maybe was it was the right result, but surely a fair result would be one in which the referee's decision doesn't influence the game directly.
Yeah. Again, I think the idea of it being fair comes from the fact that Tottenham, had a little bit more possession in the second half. I think that's about it. Again, they didn't create any real clear cut chances bar the Sun chance, but for some reason, because you have more possession, it somehow means that you were again deserving of scoring a goal, which I don't really agree with. Again, they
Uh,
scored a good goal with Wanyama, but other than that, we kept them out pretty
I
well.
mean, especially for Europe. I mean, I think Klopp will be looking at it thinking, look, the chances we conceded basically the entire match were a one-on-one and two penalties in which, and this is a thing that I think common sense deserves also mention, because let's say on the first penalty, the offside was directly given, for example.
Yeah.
Would have anyone complained? No.
No.
And that's the truth, because Kane was offside, the ball was going towards him. Yet because we're trying to explain it, and some are explaining it that it should have been a penalty and it wasn't offside. But at the same time, had he given offside, no one would have said much. And on this, and also I think Klopp will be looking at, look, the first goal was a Wanyama strike from 25 yards on the run. Perfect placement, whatever, that doesn't happen. And then he'd be looking at the penalties thinking, look, this in any other game, we might not have conceded a single penalty. So basically what you're saying is Tottenham deserved to get the draw because they had one clear chance. And I mean, we had one in the first half and we had one magical goal in the second. So
Yeah. The funny thing is,
So,
like,
I mean, we defended well. What I'm saying is, if we defend like we did today for the rest of the season, we
we'll be
won't
in
be
good shape.
complaining that much. And
No,
Karius, if he performs for the rest of the season this way, we won't be complaining as well.
no, I actually felt that for a large part of this game, if we defend like that going forward into the season, not obviously getting that deep, that's not what I mean by defending, but being more in control, not being as ambitious necessarily with our fullbacks that often, but just kind of keeping good shape and uh, doing that. I think we would be fine going forward in this season.
I think it's similar to what Rafa used to do.
Yeah,
I mean, we would concede, possession and just drop back. And I get that, we don't play that well when you drop back. But today, I mean, I think people are doing it like talk about it as if like Spurs were just slicing through us at their will, but that didn't happen.
no, it
That
didn't.
that that just didn't happen. And I know I get we want to be critical of Liverpool sometimes, but
Sure,
that
of
just
course, yeah,
didn't happen. Sorry, but
yeah. I think
in any other
criticism should.
game we would win basically. Like
Yeah,
this went. I mean, let's say Wanyama shot, he skies the shot as he is expected to do. Um, do we and then the penalty wasn't given, which I don't think it was a penalty because it was an offside. And we might. I'm not sure how the last 10 minutes pans out. Basically, if that
yeah,
happens. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
it wasn't our day.
It wasn't our day. Again, but I mean, I wouldn't say it wasn't our day in that sense because we did score two goals. It's not like we weren't able to put the ball in the back of the net. It's just that we had a couple of incompetents uh, around who seemed to want to take a share of the line, who wanted to give Kane his moment on Sky today. That's basically what it was, so that they can talk about his 100th goal. That's basically what it is. Um, because it seems to be that that's the only thing that they're mentioning right now in England. It's all about Kane getting his 100th goal.
I just wanted to say about the first penalty. Whoever told Karius to stay in the middle. Now I felt he might go shoot it down the middle because, well, he is a striker who is about to score his 100th goal, and I think in his head is like, oh, that's the safest option to do it. I think
Yeah,
someone told him, yeah, go that side. Just stay in
October.
your place.
Octoberg.
Probably, or an a video analyst or anyone.
Yeah. Again, it happened, but anyways, weird result. Not particularly happy about it. Not particularly happy about the ref. Not particularly happy about the lack of VAR. Not happy about a lot of things, but you just got to move on from it now. And it's cathartic to talk about it because I feel a lot better now than when I started because I got to vent a little bit. But we still are in we're in still a good position, so I'm not too bad, not too sad about it.
I mean, yeah, what I said, I think Spurs had they won, that would have put them in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and today I think it wasn't the best result, but we're still in top 4, and
it could have been
we have West Ham, I think, next week.
It could have been a lot worse if Karius hadn't saved that penalty.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Very easily.
This could have been. I thought we were going to lose at that point, but Karius stepped up, and I just hope he continues to step up and play this way. He's got a few months to really prove himself. So hopefully he does it. Yeah. All right, Hassan. So we'll catch up the next time. So next time, what I'm thinking we'll do is we'll do our 10 best from Europe in the 2000s.
The hipster choice or just the normal choices?
No, your favorite. Not sorry, not best. Not best.
Okay.
I'm not gonna put this guy on my list, but he was close to being on my list. Dennis Romadal.
Oh, yeah. He's only known for being very quick.
Yes.
And I think he ran 100 meters in, I think it was 10 point something. About 11 seconds.
He has one of the most uninspiring, like Ajax, the Ajax channel on YouTube has like his 10 best goals, and there's some of the most uninspiring goals that anyone's ever scored in like some of the best goals.
There's a guy on YouTube who does videos. So basically, videos will be like Fernando Torres all goals with Liverpool in the Premier League, and there's one for Carlton Cole, at Chelsea, which is the strangest list to make. And by the way, Carlton Cole has one hell of a YouTube video, and I think everyone should watch it.
I think you've shown it to me. So
I've had it on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Because it was tongue in cheek.
Yeah, I think you've shown it to me. So, anyways, we'll pick it up. We'll do the and if Paul joins us, I'll ask him also to compile his favorite players of the 2000s in all of Europe, excluding England, because I don't want to do English players and Premier League players.
And they'll be no longer in Europe in a year. Technically.
Yeah, exactly.
Once shunted away.
Yeah, but they were part of it in the 2000s. But for this exercise, we're going to kick them out because we already did 7 best in the Premier League, which we will release. I'll release it sometime soon. Now, I just want to get the right day so that people can enjoy that one. But yeah, Passan, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, same here.
Take care.